Okay, so hopefully the others who are available will show up too, but we have four, so we can get to it. I'd like to start off, well, we have open forum first, so I guess we'll stick to the order. So anybody have anything for open forum? Assuming not yet. Anything?
No.
And I have
Scott, hey, Scott, you know, I have a heavy agenda for you, but I'll hold off for today.
okay. Yeah, the agenda's not on open forum. You have to make those submissions.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I have one item, the Duxbury Rural Historic Society. It's been something that's been kicked around for a number of years, is going to be looking to possibly do an easement to the town on the edge of its property next to the Sweetzer's property, to do a walking path to go from Washington Street down into DBMS and our public launch, right to that area there. So that's kind of a spot on their property that's not really utilized right now. It would be a perfect opportunity for everyone, instead of people walking down the street and walking behind all the car zones and Sweetzers and everything else to get down to DBMS.
Yeah.
And or trying to make their way down Mattakesa Court while there's boat trailers and everything pulling in and out. We can funnel them down there, and the idea is it'd be a 10 or 12 foot wide walkway through there, put a couple bollards in each end so nobody can drive a car down it. Because they will. You know, they will. And what they're looking to do is they'll potentially either do it on their own and construct it with like gravel, packed gravel or something, but the other idea, because of the liability, they don't really want to take on the liability of maintaining it and having somebody have a problem there.
Right.
Do an easement and grant it back to the town, and then the town can take care of doing it, deciding if you want to pave it or do it in whatever else.
Okay.
That's something it'll be cycled through us, and then as well come straight to the town, and I'm sure the select board, we talked about myself and DRHS coming to the select board about that. And I don't think it'd be a very expensive project. We got a price on removing all the trees, which there aren't any big trees. It was like $2,000 to get that in there, and then doing the rest of it. It's all on their land, and they'll grant an easement as long as the town takes responsibility for it. I think that would be a great way for us to solve some of the pedestrian issues in those areas.
Right.
Because we know we need to widen Mattakesa.
It could be at some point raised as well.
Exactly, exactly. So all that could be designed around that, as well as the Mattakesa situation. Maybe we wouldn't have to make it as wide when we were planning on trying to help walk people down it. There's not a lot of room on that street. You really can't go through to the DRHS side because the building's right there. And the yacht club, I know, has talked in the past, was gracious enough to say, yeah, we can cut into that hill some, but we can't get a sidewalk and two boat trailers past each other on this. That's just impossible. If we can get the pedestrian traffic, just go a little further down the road, and in that way, everybody will be safe.
It would also help with access to the head, because that's the only head. That's
Yeah.
built.
Yes.
Right, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
from Sweetzers and all of those,
Yeah.
they have to.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it serve a lot of purposes. The DRHS was really happy with it because they would make that all into gardens and maybe have some benches for people to sit at and be able to see everything. So everybody would be happy.
That should be right there.
Exactly. So
Good.
So that will be coming along. You'll see that at the select board at some point, and that'll be coming towards us too. So that was good. I'm glad to see they're going that far forward. We talked about 6 years ago. And now they really want to do something. So it'd be great. That's all I had there. Ted, you don't have anything else for open forum, right?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay.
He sounds very threatening.
I know, it's definitely gonna be a lot of. It's okay, I'm about to nominate you for chair, so. Anyway, I want to welcome our new planning board members. Thank you very much for running. It was a hotly contested race this year, apparently. I don't understand any other times, it's like nobody wants to run, but now we have a whole bunch of people interested. That's great. Yep, glad to see it. Definitely glad to see it. So congratulations and welcome. And as everybody knows, have we put out the ads out for one other opening that we have now, which was not elected because it was a member who left for in the term now. and after the time for election. So we'll have one more available.
And do we want to go ahead and explain that? Because I think we have somebody in the audience who might be interested in that.
Yeah, so the process there is we advertise it, we get in, they're not applications, they're
Letters of interest.
letters of interest, et cetera, and then we put all those together, and then we do an interview process, with the select board.
And it's live on TV and it's an awkward.
Yes, very awkward thing.
Very awkward.
That's how I joined the board,
Right.
because Cindy was elected to the select board, there was an open spot here. I threw my hat in the ring, there were 4 people,
Yes,
and so the select board, so we're all there, we all happen to be on Zoom, so we're
it was
all
on Zoom.
there.
Yeah.
And the select board has to weigh in on everybody, and the planning board has to weigh on, it's kind of a strange.
Yeah, it is.
But you made it.
I made
Yep.
it,
Yeah,
and then I had to, and the same person will have to do the same thing, there'll be a year left on the term, they'll have to run again the very next election. And then.
so the term itself doesn't change by the appointment. You're taking over the rest of the term and then run again. So it's, good, and welcome to joining that process, and we'll see if anybody else joins it as well. And then we'll go through that. I think, when do we have that? That's not scheduled with the select board yet, right?
It's like tentatively for, May 6th.
Okay. Sorry, that got delayed a little because of the. So anyway, we'll have that coming as well. And then we'll be at full staff. Yes,
And I hit as a planner? Did I hear that?
nothing confirmed.
Nothing.
I've been away for a week, so.
Okay.
That
Nothing
rumor I haven't heard.
Nothing confirmed. There have been some applications for an interim planner, so we have, there's a position open in town for the town planner, and there's a position open for interim planner. Because we thought at least maybe we'll find somebody who's retired or just wants to
Yeah.
work.
That could help us out, at least part-time until we find somebody.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, so we have had some applications in for the interim.
And I've taken that on too, maybe we parlay that into
I know, yes.
part-time and full-time, and then we get somebody to deal with C-level.
That's right.
So we'll see how the things work out. Yep.
Sounds good.
You know,
At least
at least we've got some interest now anyway, which is positive information.
Right.
Okay, and new members, care to give any introduction, et cetera? You can start.
Me?
Yeah.
Where do you want me to intro, I guess?
Maybe a little bit.
Little
of
background.
A little background, okay. Lauren Soroy, I have been in construction for about 15 years now. I am currently the Director of Design and Construction for South Coast Health, where I am in charge of about $25 million worth of construction every year.
All right, so tell us again, how do you pronounce your last name?
Soroy.
Soroy.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Excellent. And Ted?
Okay, yep, Tag Carpenter. I think you all know me at least by name. I'm a technologist by trade, software developer, did a lot of mobile apps, e-commerce websites, that type of thing, project management, et cetera. And then mostly in the last few years, I've been volunteering for the town. So as historical commission chair, I've tried to organize the work of the historical commission. And one of the things that's evolved there is that, the bylaw itself specifies a very narrow responsibility of administering the demolition delay bylaw. But overall, the responsibility of historical commissions in the Commonwealth is pretty broad. There's a lot of different things that historical commissions do or could do. And so I've been working with the commissioners to explore that scope of work and try and organize that into several programs. And it's ongoing. We did reorganize the historical commission so that I am no longer the chair. I checked in with town council, or the town clerk checked in on our behalf. And there is no prohibition in the law from an individual serving on multiple boards, so I am presently still a historical commission member. But I have let go of any responsibilities there, and I'm supporting Ed Mayo as the new chair to transition him into the role. So I'll continue to attend those meetings for the next maybe month or two, in addition to the planning board meetings, while we get them off and running on their own, and then I'll step away from that and be fully involved in the planning board from that point. So that's where I am right now. Then enough about me.
Excellent. Congratulations to both of you.
Yes, thank you.
Congratulations, Lauren. Yeah.
How we ended up
You
here.
too.
I don't know how I ended up
You
here. It's been too many years.
I actually studied city planning in college, and then I worked for a boutique planning firm in Virginia. We did comprehensive plans, scenic byways, and things like that. And so that kind of got put on the back burner for many years, so I was at home with our kids, and, I knew that I thought I always wanted to do this, and, Scott and, Dave Beauty actually spent about 4 years trying to recruit me.
Yes.
And so here I am.
Excellent. Let's see, my background, I think I'm 13 years into it now. When I decided to get involved with the board, there was some, I'd like to call it a little bit of chaos going on the board at the time, some, issues with structures, accessory structures, are they residences, et cetera. And I got heavily involved in all of that, and I felt that some of the way it was being approached wasn't, the best. People weren't being informed that properties were being talked about and things like that. So I wanted to get involved with the board, deal with some of the zoning issues. I was part of the citizens petition that changed the definition of the accessory structures to allow living space and not the dwelling in that piece of the puzzle. So I got involved at that part, and then decided I wanted to get into the board for the zoning, as well as just trying to be, in my opinion, a little more fair to some of the residents in town, applicants and people, and make sure everybody understands what we're doing and why we're doing it, and that we're upfront with properties if we're going to speak about them. So good for everybody involved to know what's going on. So that's kind of, I had a little different background as to why I got involved, but it's been 13 years now, so been involved in a lot of other things since. So it's been good. And okay, that's what we've got. And
Oh, one thing I wanted to note, so, Tag and Lauren, are you familiar with open meeting law? Tag, I'm guessing you are.
Yes.
Are you familiar with this? So we're all governed by open meeting law, and so there are certain restrictions about how much communication we can do offline or via email, and how many of us can meet in person. So even if we're all technically, like the 4 of us at our party, technically, we're not supposed to be together. So it can be a little awkward, but the intention is that anything we do is open to the public.
Yeah.
And Emily, is there like a course?
Yes.
I think, is there a
Yeah.
course that could you send a link to?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, I think they'll have to do it.
Yeah, I think it's mandatory.
Okay, good.
It's a requirement to do
Okay.
it. It's an online course. And like, if we could all be at a party somewhere together, we just can't talk about any of the business of the plan.
Okay.
So we can't talk about, hey, that case we have coming up. or anything
Right,
like that.
right.
We just can't do that. It can be done individually with an individual, as long as it's not a quorum. So this will sometimes come up when we do site visits. Sometimes if we can't advertise the site visit that we're gonna all be there, so it would be a planning board meeting, then we either have to go individually in shifts, or if we all go, we cannot discuss anything that we're seeing there until we get back to our next meeting. So it's just to be fair to people that we're not deliberating without them knowing that we're doing it. So,
Okay.
and there'll be
Yeah,
some.
could I speak to that for a moment as well?
Yeah.
Because of the experience with the historical commission, everyone communicates via email these days.
Yes.
And even text messages. You can have group text messages. So it's taken me a few years to get the hang of it. But you just have to be very clear that the only 2 topics which are allowed in group communication are deciding when a meeting may be scheduled and what the agenda may be for that meeting. So you can actually say, what about this topic, yes or no? But you can't talk about, well, this might be a good reason why to talk about this topic. So there's a fine line. And I just always caution people, if you want to present information to the whole board, you can do that, but you cannot express an opinion of any kind. So it's possible, and I'm finding that it's important actually in this day and age that we be able to do that. We be able to share information in a group outside of a meeting to prepare for the meeting.
Typically,
That's
we need
where-
to share information through staff. We send information to staff disseminates it to the group.
That's the best way.
And then we
to do
don't deliberate about it until we get together as.
Yep.
Yep.
But that's how the information is. That's how our agendas get out to everybody in there. All the things that are gonna happen on the agenda come in that way.
Emily is back.
And Emily is the best.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, let's move on to our administrative items of the evening. First is the DBA case 2024-090 Acorn Street, Marshfield Country Club. correct?
That's correct.
And you are here representing that one?
That's right. So, yeah, Fernando Guitar, 14 Powder Point Avenue, and I'm the current president of Marshfield Country Club. And our general manager is playing golf today. So
Sure. It was a
so
good day. for it.
basically, he said, hey, can you come in and step in and talk about it? So I said, okay, but he owes me. Right. Again, I'm not familiar with this process, so I've got some speaking points which kind of summarize the letter that's been prepared by our council. And I presume you've had some maps to look at?
Yes.
Okay, good. Is that okay then? Can I just?
Sure.
You want me to read it out then? All right. So in 1922, Marshfield Country Club was established as a 9-hole golf course. And in 1931, the second 9 was completed, of which 3 holes are in Duxbury. And sometime later, additional land was purchased for a practice range. So that's where the proposed restroom facility will be locating, replacing the current porta potties that we've been using for many years during the golf season. And the reason why we'd be using porta potties, this is the furthest away from the clubhouse and any facilities. And so this has been requested by the membership for many years. And we put in place an assessment, capital assessment. So now we've got funding to be able to invest in making this improvement. So the 12-acre site is located off Apron Street and is zoned PD1, where uses are by special permit under Duxbury zoning law. The site does not lie within a protected overlay district and has been designated Zone X, which is not a special flood zone. The new building will not be visible for any public road, and the nearest dwelling is some 600 feet away to the east of Marshfield. So if you go there by the range, it's completely surrounded by trees, and even in the winter, when there's no foliage in there, you can't see the nearest house, and the other houses there are totally blocked off. So nobody will be able to see that restroom unless you're actually on the practice range or heading towards there. The Board of Health has approved the septic system. Design Review Board and Mass Divisions of Fishery and Wildlife have no issues, and the COMCOM have issued an order of conditions, primarily for the building to be no closer than 68.1 foot from the wetland resource area. So under the zoning bylaw, land within the planned development district, like the golf course, is subject to the same permitted uses and structures allowed in residential compatibility district, zoning bylaw 430.10. The RC district in turn allows certain uses by special permit, including golf course. I looked through the list there and I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. So you think it's done because of Duxbury Yacht Club?
Because it has, we have one.
We have one. On the site, golf course is a primary use, which is allowed by special permit, 410.3.5. The project would be an accessory structure and use to that principal use. The zoning bylaw permits such accessory structures located on the same lot with and accommodating a use accessory to the principal structure or use of that lot. As the zoning board of 302 definition of accessory structure. By definition, restroom facility qualifies as an accessory structure used to a golf course because it's an activity customarily incidental to and located on the same lot as a principal use conducted by the same person or his agent. And the project would also be functionally dependent on the golf course and occupy far less land area as required for accessory use. So in summary, the golf course is allowed as a specially permitted use in the PD1 district. A restroom facility is allowed as an accessory use for the golf course, and the project building to house those facilities is allowed as an accessory structure if permitted by special permit. So, when you look at the Zoning Board of Appeals 906.2, basically the criteria that governs this accessory use in its structure, suitability of location. Like I said, the small building will be located deep within the interior of the site, away from the public road and the neighboring residences. The site is not located in an environmentally sensitive area, involves no tree removal, vegetated clearing, or habitat disturbance. There's adequate water, drainage, and other utilities, including, once installed, the Title V system that will better protect public health. Activity type, mixed intensity. The project would not intensify the current use of the site. There is a porta potty there, and may provide overall benefits by upgrading to the septic system. And finally, the building and site design. The project would not be visible as stated from the road or neighboring houses and does not alter the neighborhood character. Small footprint and low height minimizes project's profile to fit within the landscape. So that's it right there. Okay.
Do any of us have any questions?
I don't. It seems like this would be a nice upgrade from all.
Oh, yeah.
I can assure you that a porta potty is not the best of things so we're quite pleased that we've got the funding to be able to do this. As I said, the members have been asking for this for quite some time.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, any
Yeah,
questions?
I do have a question, and it regards, the fact that this is, it's not a house lot. There's no development there per se. So the installation of a septic system is a new use. Has there been a perk test done?
Yeah, the Board of Health went through that process tag and they signed off on it. It's
Okay.
got the approval of the Board of Health.
Yep, sorry, I heard you mention it, but I wasn't clear that had been done.
Yeah.
So yeah, the only question relates to, I know that we're concerned with the aquifer, nitrogen loading and that type of thing. As long as the water table is low enough there, because we were just talking about, I mean, I have the same thing in my basement. The pump has been running, for 2
Right.
weeks.
Yeah.
So that's good. All right, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay, and so basically, new members, the zoning board of appeal cases, we're a referral board. And often people will make their dry run before going to the zoning board of appeals through us. See if there are any, primarily, our goal is to point out if we notice any zoning issues from the zoning bylaw with regard to the project. The suitability of the approval of the project is up to the zoning board of appeals. We're really to refer back, do we see anything in the zoning that would cause us to have an issue with the project going forward? Sometimes that can come into play in a commercial, a referral by the ZBA for a change in commercial use of a building. And we may say to them, we want that referred back to us because we want to review the site again regarding parking. Because it might have gone from an office use now to a retail use, et cetera. So we would want to make sure that they're gonna be aware enough to tell them that they need to come back for the planning board for site plan approval, et cetera, if we want that. And we would let the applicant know that right away as well. So that's primarily one of the things we do with these ZBA cases. Most ZBA cases that we see are people, non-conforming houses making changes in the non-conformities. So that's the most common. Don't have that today, but in this case here, we often either defer, often those are non-conforming issues. We tend to defer judgment on those. In this sort of a case right here that we're talking about for this project, in the review of the bylaw, which is also very well laid out here, I don't see any issues that we would have from a planning board standpoint with them not meeting the bylaw and not being eligible from a special permit basis as far as we're concerned. Again, zoning board of appeals will make that decision. But I would say that I would potentially entertain a motion to recommend approval on this to the zoning board of appeals, their final determination for the special permit. So that would be, normally when we have the full board here, other people can make a few more motions, but I will, entertain a motion to do such. So,
I would be happy to move to recommend approval to the ZBA.
so we got, you're seconding? Yeah, you're making the recommendation as I outlaid, and
I'll second
And
it.
you're second, okay. And because tag is remote, we have to do a roll call vote.
That's if anybody has.
Yeah, does anybody else have any other questions?
Discussion.
Imagining not, yeah, okay. Okay, so we'll call then we have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote, we'll do a roll call vote. So, Tag,
Tag Carpenter, aye.
okay, Lauren,
Lauren, sorry, aye.
okay,
Kristen, I.
Scott, aye. Recommend approval with no issues from the zoning side. Okay,
All right, thank you very much. I don't want to appear rude, but I've got another meeting.
get down to your next meeting.
But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thanks very much.
Thanks.
Next item we have ZBA case 2024-10, 433-447 Washington Street. So, this one.
Jackson S. Kent Jr., 1351 Tremont Street, and representing Bayside Marine at the address on Washington Street. Basically I don't know if you guys have, I think I see one plan there.
Yep.
Um,
I saw everything online, but I print myself out.
right, so what we need to do is remove a structure and build a very similar structure about 3 feet higher. Primary reason being that, we're being influenced more by tides. Can't really blame it on sea level rise yet, but I think we know that that's around the corner. It just happens to be we're in a period when we get some high tides.
Get some high tides and bad weather when they come.
So essentially, I'm taking the same building down, except it's got 7 bays. I'm rotating it slightly to get it out of the 35-foot setback. The impervious coverage for the whole project actually reduces on the property. I think that kind of boils it down.
Okay. I don't think you had an impervious issue anyway, did you?
No.
I don't think you were.
It's just an improvement.
Yeah.
That's just meant to be an improvement.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I will point out for the sake of our board that I'm currently a client at Bayside as well. So I would like to participate and would not abstain. I don't feel that my being a client is going to obscure my recommendation to the ZBA.
Especially because it blows the forum.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And we are just a referral board at the end of the day. So if we just said, we couldn't come up with a quorum, then it is.
No, and
there you go. But I would rather give them a
appreciate
recommendation. So
Well, and I'm in the same situation. We're also a client there.
as long as nobody objects, we will still participate.
Without
Hearing no
objection.
objection. Okay. All right, so, familiar with what you're planning to do here, it makes perfect sense. To change over the building that's getting routinely flooded at this point.
Correct.
So we're not, we don't want, any of our businesses here in town to be, hamstrung by issues with water levels if you have solutions that you can do to upgrade and make the business successful, continue to be successful. So,
So our plan is, we have 4 other buildings that are at approximately NABD 8810.
right on top of it.
And so we're building this one at 11. We're not gonna go any higher because we got the 4 other buildings that if it's time to leave, then
Yeah.
it's time to leave.
Okay.
And also with the fork trucks and stuff, I don't wanna build it too high because I have to maintain fairly level
Yes.
playing field to drive the fork trucks on. So this is basically a move to give us 20 years to see if the scientists are right or not.
Absolutely.
Do you want to explain NAB, the 88 to tag and to Lauren?
I'm sorry.
Do you want to explain what you meant by that, by the 10 and 11 feet? Because I'm
Oh,
not-
okay,
yeah,
so
just so that
this-
they may not be familiar with that.
There's a reference to 0. So that all the buildings, so we know elevations basically, and how high is land, how, what effects it can be. And, there was there's been numerous zeros. The latest one we're working with is what we call NABD 88. NAB, I had no idea what it means.
No idea.
Yeah.
But it's a 0 throughout the United States. And then they measure how much higher whatever project you're working on is above that 0.
Mhm.
And that is completely different than a tide elevation, so that you can't look at a tide calendar and say you got a 10-foot tide and know that NABD 88 is gonna flood. So there's a difference there that I wish we could get over, but it's about in Duxbury, and it's different all over the place, but in Duxbury, your tidal elevation is different from the NAVDA by about 5.5 feet. So that a 10-foot building would flood at about a 15-foot tide, roughly speaking. Does that do it?
Does that make sense? I just-
So when they refer to the elevation on a building, like the one we're replacing is at 792, I think one of them.
Okay.
And that elevation at 792 will go up to 11.
And that
Yeah.
just basically puts you a foot above the
Well,
flood zone determination.
but that's where zoning is
Yeah,
today,
yeah.
is a
You
foot
gotta be up
above.
that high.
When I did the project in 2003, and I got permitted, it was at 10 feet.
Yeah.
And I think 3 months later, it went to 11. But anyway, so, yeah, that's it.
So Jared, just so I have a couple questions for you.
Good.
So when you say how will you actually raise it? And you say, I think one of my concerns is about this is in Bayside in relation to the rest of Snug Harbor, to DVMS, Snug Harbor, and Mattakesett Port, because there's the town in Duxbury, Bay Maritime have engaged in received a grant, and they've got consultants, and they're actually working on a plan for that area.
Correct.
The most significant change is likely to be raising Mattakesett, the parking lot, and changing the boat ramp on the other side of DVMS, but DVMS is high, and we know that the building behind the building you're talking about, this is kind of confusing, sorry, but let's say the hairdresser building on Washington Street.
Right.
That's already been raised.
That went to 13.
Yeah, okay, so then what my concern is, what happens if in 5 years, say when the Snug Harbor grant, they actually come up with a design and they say, okay, we're gonna raise everything up. Will you have raised yourself up enough that it's not a problem, or I guess what considerations have you taken into accounting for perhaps everybody else is going to be raised?
So I understand and I'm following the Snug Harbor deal, and I know what they're going to, and they're going to 11.6.
Okay,
So they'll be 6 inches over my 11.
okay,
My property is basically gonna stay where it is, except around that building, and I might find I'm gonna have to raise that yard in front of it some
okay,
to give us pitch for the pork trucks.
okay,
So, between the two, there is the creek, the ditch that runs, so it's divided basically by water. So their elevation won't affect me that much.
When you
The
say-
wash coming in, I was worried about raising the seawall some and the bounce or the reflection of their waves off.
Mhm.
But, the way that's configured, as long as we get have a beach,
Mhm.
we won't have a wave action. So,
Okay.
I looked at it, I'm not concerned of the effect it's gonna have on us.
Because and so how will you actually raise it above,
So we'll take the old building out.
Okay.
Which, by the way, the building height of the old building coming out is 21 feet.
Mhm.
The new building going in is 20 feet, so I dropped a foot
Yeah.
off the elevation. But I'm gonna take the old out, take the foundation out, fill it. And then,
It'll come up to 3 feet with the fill.
right,
so
the
the
fill
whole,
will,
the approach to the building will be raised as well as the
Yes.
foundation for the building. Okay.
And most of around it, so you can get in and out of the building. Right, so
right,
you know, raise up that whole area in
that's
there,
correct.
and then it's gonna be pitched towards running into that ditch for the most part.
No, nothing, no water from Bayside goes any place but Bayside.
Okay.
And it gets filtered
I didn't know if
out.
that was if that was yours, the trench area there, is that yours or not yours?
We split it,
You split it, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
we split it.
okay.
I
So
remember.
we have to maintain our water
Yes,
on,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
treat it before it goes over. But I do have, I don't know if you have the,
I saw the
highway
plans.
department, you
Yeah,
have the highway department letter? I can answer some of that to you if you'd like.
no, but they already addressed all
Yes.
that. Yep,
Yep, but
so you're still maintaining everything on site as it was moving around
right,
and being captured.
Right.
That's what I meant, so I wasn't sure if that was being treated as like your rain garden area or a runoff area at all, it's not.
The only, where our rain gardens are under the boat racks.
under the boat racks. Okay,
Where's the home? Is that attached?
um,
Sorry.
I don't think that that was attached to anything.
Is that a
I think I
separate?
saw that somewhere else.
I didn't see a DPW letter.
Okay, it wasn't in a packet.
What, the highway department?
Yeah,
Yeah, she's got some issues, which, she pointed out, and I think everything is answerable, if you will. I don't see a problem. She thinks, and rightfully so, because we didn't get a plan, of the wall, but the wall is a dry lay 2 by 2 by 4 foot block of
Mhm.
concrete,
Mhm.
and they interlock with each other.
Mhm.
It's being used more and more.
Yeah.
But it's great in our situation in that you just lay a natural stone bed
Mhm.
and put the 2 by 2 by 4 bricks on top of it, if you will.
Mhm.
And then you can leave it at that 1 foot or the 10 foot height, let's say. Let's say I leave it to 10 feet. And then 15 years from now, I get more water coming in. All I have to do is take more 2 by 2 by.
Yeah, more blocks
just
on it.
blocks and lock them in.
Yeah.
And tie them in. So
Yeah.
it's pretty good. It doesn't, there's no big foundation, there's no big concrete bed it's sitting on or anything else. And if it gets a little skewed because it's settled, you just pick it up
pick it up and fix it.
settle it out and
Yeah.
put it back together. So
Okay.
it's I think it's working well. And again, it works well because we don't get a lot of surf.
Yeah, not getting wave action, so.
Yeah, we don't get the wave action, so.
Okay,
But her concern, if you want to, I'll just do it real quick. Her
Sure.
concern about the sewer easement and having concrete there, it's gonna be all soft fill with dry laid walls.
Mhm.
There's already on the hair shop, the hair salon, that has a wall back there
Yes.
already, and it's on the same easement.
okay,
Yeah,
so
so
it's the same setup, they did the same thing with the concrete
same thing.
block wall, yeah.
Yeah, and DBMS has some of it over there
Yes.
as well.
All right,
And I think that's the only major, the rest of it was water use and everything else. Nothing's changing.
nothing's changed, yeah. We've got the same use, doing the same thing, you're just doing a new building, that'll be up high enough that you're not getting flooded out with ruining.
Right.
At that point. I don't see anywhere from our standpoint that we need to come back again here for a site plan approval. It's not a change in the overall use, it's just a shifting of the building and getting the building to conform with current water levels, so. Nothing more from our standpoint, it doesn't cause you to have parking issues,
All
it's
this,
not another rack full of boats with more people coming in, we gotta talk about where you're gonna park everybody. That's not that situation, so, it's basically the same as it is now, only moving it a little bit further away in a couple spots and raising it up. So from that standpoint, I don't see, no need to come back for us, from the ZBA or beforehand. And then did anybody have any questions on this one, besides what we already have?
Well, I
Okay,
appreciate the discussion of the cement retaining wall, because I had this sort of same concern, and it's, when we erect a barrier to inundation and inundation occurs, as it inevitably will, the barrier can actually serve the opposite of its intended purpose and retain the water in the public roadways and the private property. So that was really my only thought, and I didn't see a DPW letter, so I haven't seen any analysis on this. But I wonder if that's been taken into account. And I apologize, I'm not sure if it's even a planning board issue, as you correctly point out, Scott, but it is a concern.
That's why we have the other departments.
yeah. We still, as far as getting rid of the water tag, we haven't added any area. And actually, we should have less drainage issues than we have now, even though it's a minuscule amount. But we basically just gotta take a breath and the water will leave. But we're ahead of a river flooding situation that lasts for days. Ours lasts 6 hours.
Yeah, it's tidal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, the concern is that this elevation of one property displaces inundation to another property. We're already, playing that whack-a-mole game with the,
Right.
one property that's been raised, so.
And
I
the
think
last guy is the loser.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't be last.
Don't be last.
So I guess I just asked Scott Scott, if you could distribute that DPW letter, just so we have the additional information available, or Emily, through you, Scott.
We can get all that over to Emily. Right, Emily just requested from DPW too, so, 'cause I don't remember what else on it.
Yeah, I don't think I have that. I did.
I think somebody sent it over to me. Above the wall, but, yeah, so. Okay, so again, we're a referral, we're the dry run for the ZBA, basically, so. We don't have any additional coverage issues here. All we're doing, we're raising up a building. We're not exceeding our zoning bylaw with regard to the overall height of the building. Technically, the building is gonna be a foot, even though it's raised up from the ground level, we measure from the ground level. Anyway, whatever that finished grade is when the building's gonna be constructed is where we measure from, so that's well below our 32 feet, 30, can't remember whatever it was. Level. And we don't have any additional site coverage issues. We're not over 50% or anything like that, so I don't see that there's no change of use. This is pretty simple planning board referral, so I will entertain it. If anybody doesn't have any more questions, we should make a motion regarding our referral to the zoning board of appeals.
I move that we defer ZBA case 2024-10 at 433 to 447 Washington Street to the ZBA.
Okay. We want to note, we don't notice any zoning issues, or that's good, yeah.
We don't notice any zoning issues. I guess we should probably also, do we want to make any remarks in the proposal or just follow up with that?
That was just follow.
Okay.
Okay. Do we have a second?
A second.
All right, excellent. Have a motion and a second, a call for the roll call vote. Okay,
Tag Carpenter, aye.
Lauren, I.
Kristen, I.
Scott, aye. Everybody else?
Thank you.
So, generally speaking.
Moving ahead.
Moving ahead.
Good luck.
Good luck,
luck.
JR.
I think you'll be fine.
Hey,
I think you'll be fine.
yeah,
Very good.
I would hope. All right, good, thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Minutes, March 11th.
No, we don't have
We don't have those, right? That's what we don't have. All right. And I'm wondering.
Good night.
Good night. Should we delay our reorganization till the next meeting and we have a couple more people?
Probably.
Are we okay to do that? Although, when's the next meeting? On here? I'm not here that day.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, unless one of our new members particularly wants to take over management of this, which is really easy, you can do it if you want, it's all great. But, I would kind of, assume, well, maybe we could move forward and then leave open clerk potentially for right now.
Yeah.
I get a feeling what other position we're gonna be in is maybe standing pat on how we are set up right now as far as where we are, but we'll have to entertain any motions anyone wants to make to nominate anyone. And I will start off by making a nomination for vice chair of Kristen. And let's say anyone has any discussion on that. If you're good with that, entertain a second from anyone.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
All right.
Excuse me, Scott, I couldn't hear the name. You kind of swallowed it. You're nominating who for vice chair?
Kristen again, to
Kristen,
continue.
okay, good, yeah. Fine.
Yeah, it was you, and then we're gonna trick you into.
No.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second, call for any other discussion? No, call for roll call vote, Tag?
Tag Carpenter, aye.
Lauren, I.
Do I vote Kristen, I?
Yeah. You can vote. And
You vote.
Scott, aye. Yeah. You vote.
Okay. Are we allowed to, may I make a motion to, nominate, You,
Me.
Scott as our chair.
Okay, I would accept that nomination if seconded.
Thank you.
I'll
Anybody like
second.
to-
Okay,
Thank you.
we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Roll call vote again. Ted?
Tag Carpenter, aye.
Lauren Sarai, aye.
Kristen, I.
And Scott, aye. And for this meeting, we will delay the vote of a clerk until we have our remaining members available and or we have a chance to talk to anybody else who might like to be the clerk. So, clerk is not a huge heavy lifting position, mostly has to run down to town hall and sign a few things every now and then for us. If I can, and I can always do it too. And someday when we have a town planner, we usually assign all those signs to them too, which is good. So, when we get to that point, that'll be back on again. But I think for right now, we'll remain organized for this year as we have set and, set our clerk at the next meeting. And if everybody else is here besides myself at the next meeting, Kristen, feel free to go ahead and move forward with the clerk. And I will talk to our two other experienced members, to see if one of them will voluntarily take it. So, that's our reorganization. Less formal this year than normally is. No hurt feelings this year anyway, that's good. Not unless anybody new really wants any of it, so not sure of.
No,
All right.
learning.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
A lot of learning.
Okay, so beyond that, we do have the information for the appointment. New planning board member here, the advertisement running April 3rd, 10th and 17th. Those that are interested, should apply, to the letter of interest and resume to the planning office by Friday, April 26th at 12 p.m. The joint meeting of the select board and the planning board is scheduled for Monday, May 6th. And the new member, term will expire March of 2025 and then have to run for election to stay, on the board. So we have that publicly sent out there already. And another copy of that here, if you want it. And, beyond that, I don't think we have anything else for tonight. So pretty simple. I will entertain a motion. Anybody else have any questions beyond that?
Tag.
Okay, all good, thank you.
Yep, got them all done at open forum when we're supposed to do.
Okay, all right, I'm just double checking.
No, it doesn't hurt to double check. Everybody's new.
Is there
So-
anybody in the audience that wants to ask a question?
I have no questions.
Okay.
Just thank you.
Mhm.
Excellent.
Just-
Feel free to pipe up with them. We're a little
Yeah,
informal right now. We don't have a big agenda right now, so anything's good. All right, entertain a motion to adjourn. Again, a
So
roll
moved.
call vote.
Move to adjourn.
We have a second?
Second,
All right, Tag,
Tag Carpenter, aye.
Lauren, aye.
Kristen, I.
Scott, aye. We are adjourned.